welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Championship Series Challenger, as we've already had Series 1 concluded. So let's take a look at today's games as a whole here, as we have 4 series, 1 already concluded and 3 more to come up, of course, as we will be having, obviously, coming up very, very soon, Rhett versus Welmu, which is the second game of the day.
Yeah, Snoop moves through as the first player to Premier League once again for Season 2. But next, as you said, Welmu versus Rhett, and then later, Tilo Nurcio and Euthermal Lilbo.
All right, so some good games still yet to come, definitely. And we're actually already launching into Welmu versus Rhett here. 2 players that they've had very, very different paths. Rhett has been around absolutely forever. We saw him a lot in StarCraft 1. I think he was on even Templars of Twilight all those years ago in StarCraft 1, so he has been around for eons. And then Welmu, of course, who, for me, he's almost the poster boy of WCS. He's a guy that has really proved himself here in the system.
He's the most successful European player. Look at those stats. Very healthy, 25 to 15, 25 wins to 15 losses. And he goes up against Rhett here, who's looking to get back to the Premier League.
All right, so let's get into it. It's going to be game number 1 here in this best of 5, as we will be loading up onto Coda for our first game in this series. So, going to be some good stuff, some PvZ. Let's see how things have changed up, as we do have, spawning up to the top left-hand corner, it is our red Protoss, representing Imaginary Gaming. It is Welmu. And down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue Zerg. Our second Team Liquid player of the day, it is Rhett.
Yeah, really looking forward to the series between the both of them here. Great players, both of them, but 2 very drastically different players when it comes to success within the WCS. Very funny. We talked about how Snoot hadn't not played in a Premier League since August 2013. Rhett hasn't played in a Premier League since August 2013. Yeah. It's huge. That's a long, long time ago since we saw Rhett play within the World Championship Series Premier League. He's been back in Challenger recently, but he went 3 seasons without even qualifying for Challenger, which is pretty bad there from Rhett. But he's back. He's motivated. Recently, he played in the Dutch StarCraft League Invitational, where he went back to #1 within the Netherlands. He was able to beat both risers to the top of the scene, Euthermal and Harson, to win that tournament. So a good victory for him for sure.
Yep.
But Welmu, on the other hand, very similar to Snoot, has played 6 out of 7 Premier Leagues. But one interesting fact is that Welmu, when he plays in Premier League, he gets minimum top 16 every single season.
Yeah, that's the thing. He is super consistent in the Premier League. And, you know, if you'd have said 2 years ago, yeah, the most consistent Premier League player ever in the European region for all that time was going to be Welmu, people probably wouldn't have believed you. But he is here, and he's very, very scary a player. But wow, Rhett, oh my God, you ambitious son of a gun.
And look at the way that Welmu's opened up here. He's already gone for a second pylon pretty fast, which allows him to go for this Zealot while keeping his probe count pretty high. And he's going to put a bit of pressure on. But yeah, Rhett has opened up 3 hatch and spawning pool. A very greedy opening. Really fuels the amount of production that he's going to have. But he's going to have to balance tickling and managing this Zealot, because it's going to be annoying at the start of the game. And his second point is he has to know the follow-up. Is it a traditional 4-gate with a lot of chrono boost spent in that warp gate research?
Yep, here come the drones to try and go for the surround.
Yeah, Welmu's trying to tuck it in.
If he can get into one of those crevices, nope. Still the surround is good.
So technically, you shouldn't lose a drone when you get a full surround like that, but he's already lost 1.
Yeah, and the surround continues on, so gets himself another drone because
wow,
he had
that's really nice.
Yeah, the fact that he actually focused a drone on the right-hand side that had to then go back to the mineral line on the left is actually something that was probably secured him a kill there. If it had gone for a drone on the left-hand side, probably wouldn't have got it.
Well, Stalker on the way to get rid of that Overlord. Throughout this series, you're going to be looking at Rhett playing Zerg, obviously, but playing super reactionary. Really reactionary, because Welmu's key strength as a StarCraft 2 player is he's very decisive and very deceptive at the same time. You know, he knows exactly what to do, and he'll try to hide and mask his play all the time.
Yeah.
Which is Stalker coming out right now, and this is going to stop any Overlord from going inside the main base. Then you have no idea what the follow-up is.
Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned it time and time again on cast when we're casting Welmu. He's pretty cerebral. He will always be trying to outthink you, always trying to maybe even just show things that aren't necessarily what he wants to do. We've seen him time and time again go for big gateway pushes and whilst having a third base down and never really using it. Things like that are something that can throw you off. And as Rhett here, you've got to be so mindful of
Overlord
everything.
gets pushed away, but Zergling goes in. Really working well together because now he sees the second and third gateway being added on instead of a Forge, instead of a Stargate, instead of a Robo. So he knows now that Welmu has potentially a probe out on the map. He has 3 gateways and it could be going up to more very shortly once that Zergling goes down. So gases were started pretty early on here from Rhett. Still working off only 2 queens, by the way. Only just now starting his third. Really working on that drone income after losing 2 at the start. Yeah. So he doesn't have the best creep spread. Doesn't have the best amount of injects into these hatcheries.
It's funny, I always had this thing when I was casting Rhett once, and there was in this matchup specifically, there was always these points where he would only ever have 1 active creep tumor, and that's it throughout the entire game. Since then, you know, there's been differences in Rhett's play. Sometimes he gets very active with his creep spread, sometimes not. It just depends on what he feels like.
He just spotted the Forge, by the way, so he knows it's 3-gate Forge, which means it's more than likely going to be an expansion build. So he started the layer and more drones, and then gases and a Roach Warren. He has built no units at all this game, apart from those 2 Zerglings that were scouted. All drones. The king of drones, as he's known for, and that is what we're seeing in this game.
And the second creep tumor as well, so brilliant stuff for Rhett, who's really kind of ironing things out and keeping himself nice and defended. 8 Zerglings are on the way to make sure that he's not really going to take too much damage. But with all of these sentries out at the front and this probe in position, third base is nigh here for Welmu.
Yeah, third base is definitely going to come into play. Rhett thinks that's a real Oracle. It's not. It's fake. And he pulls all his drones off, and he does take an economic loss because of it. One difficult part that Welmu's going to have to deal with is defending in between the second and third. Always very difficult. But right now, that attack isn't ready. And Welmu's moving out. Luckily for Red, he has units in the middle of the map that are going to see this. But what we're looking at here is Welmu moving to try to deal some damage to recall back out. He sacrifices a Photon Overcharge, usually get 2 at the time as Zerg attacks. But now he'll just have 1, but he's going to look to do some damage before to slow Rhett down.
I mean, even those Zergling kills at the front is really cool, because he's forcing out units, which necessarily won't be that useful. Getting himself a queen as well, and if he walks up this ramp and force fields it off without any... there's quite a few roaches actually popping in this location.
He's got to be careful here.
Yeah, got to be very careful. Steals this off for now, and the drones have to come off the line, but he'll get some free kills here. Very, very well done.
Yeah, it's another queen going down.
Wow. Doesn't get too many more drones, but even gets a roach or 2 as they pop out. And look, he's keeping all of these roaches back. They could try and loop around, but, I mean, it takes a little bit of time to get around. We'll get the recall out finally.
Yeah, caused a lot of units to be made instead of drones, and also 2 queens were picked off, and now he recalls back. So he does sacrifice energy for a Photon Overcharge, but he's still at 11 sentries. The Twilight Council should be down by now, if this is... if he's tiptoe, it is. Blink is on the way, so +2 attack's going to be starting, and now it becomes a balance of defending 2 locations.
Zerglings and Roaches going to move on forwards, and that's still a lot of sentries here to be able to deal with this. A few prying eyes on the right-hand side will be able to give him a heads up as to what's going on, but not quite in the right position to actually deflect all those Zerglings.
No, Red's going to try and attack 2 locations. Mentioned this can be a little bit difficult, but there's a sentry and a cannon on the left, sentries on the right.
Oh, sentry actually dies. Obviously, he has to warp in another one. Force field's out there,
If he goes for the Forge, he'll lose every single Roach because he will get trapped in there, so he cannot kill the Forge.
Can't keep
And he's not really doing anything here. He picked off 1 sentry and that was it. And those were leftover units from the defense, I imagine, that he set earlier on. But Infestation Pit is down, same as the Spire, so he's got 2 choices to go for. And he is going to play like a Ling Infester style.
Already the Fungal on the way, and if he's anticipating a lot of Blink Stalkers, like a lot of our European Protoss are doing at the moment, that can work in your advantage as Zerg.
Yes, it can, but will Welmu know it's happening? He sent out Hallucinated Phoenix. It's the first time he's really scouted after what we saw earlier on with the Oracle and then that push.
We'll spot the Infestation Pit with this, unless the Queen somehow miraculously denies.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, he rerouted. And actually saw nothing because of the reroute.
So he doesn't know if this is Mutalisks, if this is Ling Roach, if this is Hydralisk, Infest. He doesn't know anything.
He has so much energy left. I think he should send out other Hallucinated Phoenix. And
there's one on the 3rd.
Okay. So we'll be able to spot
Infestation Pit. Doesn't see any Mutalisk pop, though.
No, and I don't think he will.
But still, will he even
wait,
have
he
enough
will.
to defend against this?
He sees the Spire, but then also sees the Mutalisks anyway, and that is quite the strong army that he's got to be careful of.
Yeah, but these are +2, right? These are +2 attack stalkers.
Not just yet. The +2's not finished just yet.
Well,
it's on the way, though.
Yeah,
And it should finish before an engagement comes along, right? So that raises the validity of all of that.
But Mutalisks are going for a runaround.
And he's going to push on forwards regardless of the Mutalisks. I don't think he really knows the Mutalisk position at all. A huge force field wall gets placed down here, and he actually seals out a lot of those roaches as well as sealing some in. But at the same time, he's taking economical damage behind this.
Yeah, he's going to pick off that 4th hatchery easily.
You say easily.
Well,
he should.
It's up for the taking.
It definitely is.
And he's having to deal with these Mutalisks back at home, but +2 stalkers with Blink are going to defend against that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how he's going to be able to hold off against this huge army that we're seeing for Welmu at the front as well. The Zerglings trying to get the wraparound. Even any roaches that want to retreat out here are going to have a hard time because they do not have burrow. He's killed off a lot of probes at the back. 20 have gone down. So really weakened the economy here of Welmu, but does he have anything to stop this at all? These infestors are so important that are about to pop out.
Yeah, and the Mutalisks have done a bit of damage over the time. 23 probes is pretty good, but it's not as good as being able to pick off 2 hatcheries worth of production and also drones and units.
Yeah, blinked forwards to kill one of those infestors. That's a good fungal. To try and chain that would be of much importance, and he tries to do it once again. He'll get a few of the sentries here, but does he have enough to deal with this? I mean, there's 10 roaches on the way, but he doesn't have any energy left for fungals.
No, this game's about to end, unfortunately, here for Red. He tried well, but the push out from Welmu that slowed Red down and then Red doing an attack that didn't do anything, it hurt him. And look at this, Welmu's in a good position.
And Immortal even walks across the entirety of the map. GG, Welmu takes game number 1 here. And, well, very, very well played by him. I love the push out on when he's taking his 3rd base to actually just find little bits of damage. And sometimes you do that and you just force units out and you recall completely, but he actually even found drone kills there.
Yeah, I mean, there was 3 key moves from Welmu. It was the first Zealot, which got 2 drone kills and a lot of drones not mining, already slowed Ret down. The push out, again, slowed Ret down. Ret, couldn't do anything with a counter, and then, again, slowed himself down. And because he didn't have those units to help defend against the inevitable push that came afterwards, Welmu played that very nice. Very, very clean play.
Yeah, really, really well done by him. And again, the new system, how it works here from Season 1 to Season 2, obviously we couldn't do this in Season 1 because there were no Premier players, that technically was from 2014, but the system had reset, is that all the Premier players were able to pick or choose in a priority list who they wanted to play in Challenger. And Welmu obviously didn't get quite as high as he would like to have in the previous season, being toppled by Haas in that very last game that he played. But he still got a pretty good pick, I feel, for Welmu in Ret.
Yeah, it was Welmu was the 8th player to pick in Challenger selection. He didn't get the best pick, but he definitely got a good pick for sure.
Yeah.
Against Ret here. They haven't played too much over the years, but they know each other's style very well. Despite not playing against each other a lot competitively in tournaments, they played against each other a lot on ladder. They've both been successful at different eras throughout StarCraft 2, so they know each other because of that as well. And that's probably how this series will play out. Ret has to be on top of things, and he can't allow small maneuvers from Welmu to slow him down. Because if Ret can get his momentum ball rolling, it's very difficult to stop him. Yeah, very difficult.
But then Welmu is the kind of he's almost the kryptonite to a player like Ret. He is a guy that isn't afraid to be very aggressive, isn't afraid to be really in your face constantly throughout the game, and Ret doesn't like that. Ret doesn't like that at all. So difficult stuff.
And Welmu makes his first appearance today with his new team. Properly on the big stage in WCS, Imaginary Gaming. Recently joined it just on Monday last week, I think it was, when we did the Challenger selection.
Yeah, very, very recent. So good pickup by them. Basically picking up the best Protoss in Europe. I mean, some people would argue, again, obviously we're going to have Little Bo later on, who has been touted as one of the best in Europe as well, but has yet to have an opportunity to really show that kind of caliber of play. Hasn't had too many big stages to show that kind of play, but Welmu is certainly up there, certainly. With the amount of performances he had in Premier League, there's no denying Welmu's skill.
Yeah, 4 top 8 performances and 2 top 16s in his 6 Premier League appearances. Whereas Ret, on the other side of things, unfortunately, in his last let's say 5, 2 challenges back-to-back.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1 earlier this year when he played against TLO. And then the other challenger was last year in Season 3, but then 3 not even qualified for Challenger League seasons for Rhett. So very different ends of the scale for both of these players. Yeah. Rhett did once achieve a top 16 in Season 2 of 2013, but it's been a while since he's been there, as mentioned, August 2013. And now he really has to buckle down. Rhett has always been a player who really plays well when motivated. Mm-hmm. And with his recent win just about a month ago in Holland to get back to the #1 in the scene, being able to get into Challenger now and qualify through, playing quite well. Yeah. And he has been playing well recently. Hopefully that's driven him and given him enough motivation to hopefully try to take down Welmu. It's a big challenge, though.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Rhett, he's the old grizzled veteran who has stood the test of time and is still around and still here, still kicking and fighting. But some of the new blood, I would still put Welmu in new blood, even though he has been around for quite a long time. He's not quite as the veteran that Rhett is, for example. So Welmu at the moment is looking powerful, and I don't expect him to do too much in terms of changing up his playstyle from the aggressive style that he takes, because the way it works is very violent and brutal.
Yeah, it's very violent, and it has a lot of switches that you can't quite prepare for. So when he pushes out the first time and tries to deny you with a bunch of sentries, what happens if then all of a sudden you move out to counter, and while he's defending, there's Dark Templar come into your bases and stuff. There's all these different variants that he's very good at mixing into his regular play. So I expect that Welmu, his core play is going to be around the types of pushes into a big killing strike with Blink Stalkers and +2 attack. That's kind of the core of any Protoss at the moment. But there's going to be some small, cute little switches that Rhett will not be aware of, and that will probably be the tipping the scales here in favor of Welmu, unless Rhett's on top of things, which is easier said than done, but still easy to achieve.
So map number 2 is going to be Varney Research Station here. Are we expecting anything? Are we expecting Rhett to try and go for a double hatch before pool again? Because if he does, Welmu is someone that can see these patterns in games and will try and exploit later on.
Yeah, I think this is hard. I think you almost have to open up spawning pool first here because of cannon rushes, which can work. Yeah. And also your overlords cannot scout fast enough on a map like this. As you'll see once we load in, it's very narrow. If he does go hatchery first, he'll want to expand to the front. But there are tricky plays like gold bases, and there's a lot of different strategies and builds that you can do. And now it's the time where the preparation for Challenger, the amount of work that you put in is meant to shine through on every single map that you're expecting to play.
It's a really good point that you actually bring up with taking like bases in the front, for example, on a map like this, because his teammate, Snoot, is someone that is very proficient with that kind of style, and then eventually trying to deal with Protoss' later stages of their engagements, like, for example, trying to force field off the ramp into the main base and not losing 2 bases instead of 1 is what Snoot was going for when he was even wasn't taking the pocket base at all against Protoss, was just going for bases on the outside to make sure he's not going to be exploited. Anyway, let's get into game number 2 now. Varney Research Station is our map, as currently we have Welmu 1 game up in this best of 5, as we have him spawning down to the bottom. It is Imaginary Gaming's Welmu, and up to the north, it is our blue Protoss. Yeah. Let me redo that one.
Go ahead.
It is our blue Zerg. It is Liquid Rhett. Perfect.
All right, so Rhett plays a different style, definitely towards his teammates, though, compared to his teammates, Snoot and TLO. He's a lot more defensive, and always has been. He's always played that defensive mechanic that hopefully can see what's coming, stop it, and then just steamroll his opponent. That has been Rhett since the beginning of time. With a couple of timings thrown in here and there, such as Ling Hydra pushes, that's pretty much Rhett. This is a map where, with good creep spread, he can do that. He's actually sending out a drone here, which is very interesting. Whether he sees a probe coming through the other side of the map already, wants a drone scout, wants a hatch to the other side.
It almost looks as if he's worried, going all the way down towards that left-hand side here. And, of course, plenty more drones on the way. Is he actually... No, Rhett, there's no way.
He might. No. He might try to hatch down here and do something completely against what I just said Rhett normally is.
Yeah. Is Rhett actually going to do this? Because he's coming in from an angle, he's trying to, like, hide it almost, right?
Yeah. It's going to hatch here.
No way.
Wow, I did not expect this from Rhett.
Nor did I. And you know what? Welmu probably isn't going to either.
No, but he already has a gateway and a zealot on the way, which is very, very early.
But he's going to send it all the way across the map. And by the time it gets over there...
It depends if it sees it coming down the ramp, because it's going to be very close.
I don't think so. I think it hits... Once it gets here, it won't have vision across. That is...
And that's a problem, yeah.
I genuinely did not expect this. Rhett really bringing out some wild stuff here. We've seen this a few times, though, right? Wasn't it Pig that did this? Oh, the angle it took. It didn't quite...
Okay,
okay, because it was going up against this.
So now it's been spotted, and he can get a second Zealot, and now Rhett's in trouble.
All right. Well, good job, Zealot, for pathing across this map. Seems to work out well.
Yeah,
and
Rhett's in trouble. This is it's a big investment, and Welmu just used the same build as the previous game, and now is adapting a little bit because he got the Nexus down, but now he's just taking gases and the Cybernetics core.
You know what's funny? I think because where the hatchery is, if it was actually placed on spot, he probably wouldn't have seen that with the Zealot moving up.
Yeah, and then he's a little bit further away from the ramp to get his spine crawlers and stuff in position. So,
oh well,
that's a bummer from Rhett. Tried something different. And he got stung for it. And that when you are his type of player, is probably the worst way. Why did I even bother to do that? I never do this, and then when I do it, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And now he's in a bit of a pickle. He's taken the gold base, so he's got to have something else up his sleeves here. But trying to do a 2-base attack is very hard to do. Sentry, 1 force field on the ramp, you're never getting up there anytime. So what you do often see is like a 3-base with double base gold that you've seen Snoop do in the past.
It's 3 Zealots. 3 Zealots moving out.
Yeah, and a Stalker and a Mothership Core, which is going to be coming around the corner too very soon.
Yeah, all right. So the 2 Zealots are going to engage. Scratch on the Queen, but doesn't really want to go much further forwards. Trying to engage these Zerglings and negate some of the damage from the Queen coming out. Microing back that Zealot in the middle.
By Welmu.
Oh my god. Okay. So he keeps the majority of that alive, as we'll be able to pull that back. But even the one that died really got good cost efficiency there. What is he up to? Ah, okay.
Looking for an Overlord. No Mothership Call was made, by the way. It was a Sentry first, so he's going to start to bank up that energy nice and early. Whether it's going to be for Hallucinated Phoenix, whether it's going to be for an attack, whatever. Sentry with high energy is better than Sentry with low energy.
Yeah.
And it was built earlier.
Didn't quite see that hatchery at the left-hand side here, and doesn't definitely not know about the one at the gold. So maybe anticipating his opponent just going straight into a 3rd base in the pocket, but... Oh, that probe.
Switch up from Welmu, by the way, is we knew what would happen throughout the series. Has been spotted very easily, actually, unfortunately. The position of the Stargate has been spotted by an Overlord. Rhett knows what he's playing against in that regard. He doesn't know if it's a Stargate or follow-up to the Stargate, which we do see the 2nd and 3rd gateway coming in. Rhett did try to look for it, and he's not going to get it.
And he didn't find... He was so close to finding this probe up to the top left-hand corner, but alas, that is not the case. He does not find it, and now only 7 Zerglings. They're really not going to do a whole lot. It's going to be Phoenix. Ooh, I like it.
So Phoenix is going to deny, and then if he wants to start banking Zealots on that pylon to the top left, he could even snipe a 3rd.
Yeah.
Rhett is a player who... Not just Rhett, but any Zerg player. Once you take a loss like he's done already, the best way to come back is to build excessive amounts of drones. So the way to do this as a Protoss to counteract that is build Zealots to stop that. Get a Phoenix to deny the Scout. Now you think this is more than likely going to be a 3rd base if he's playing Phoenixes. So you drone even harder. And we're going to see warped in Zealots, I would imagine, up that pylon in a second.
Oh, there's potential. Selling a story, and Phoenix finds another Overlord, so that's actually a potential. Actually, no, he's getting 3 Overlords, so it's not going to supply block him too easily. But the Zerglings will spot the small move out at least.
Yeah, but the Phoenix has seen the gold base now, and he sees this space to the left-hand side. And now Welmu, is he going to try to warp in Zealots for this, or what? He's moving out the middle of the map, so I would imagine he's going to. But there's already 20 Lings on the way, but I guess against quite a few Zealots, not going to be that good.
Sees this extra pylon. There was 1 sentry up here, as the Phoenix still finding some Overlords.
Yeah, and that's annoying, especially when you're trying to mount a defense. You're getting supply capped over and over.
Yeah. Oh, the Zerglings going for a surround and actually get really, really good coverage on a lot of this Protoss force. So as efficient as they could have been, considering, and he gets a great pickup.
Welmu was not looking at his units, and Rhett finds up that nice victory, and that's a fantastic move for him. He was getting supply capped. He probably would have taken a lot of damage, but he did salvage that situation. Now he has Roaches on the way, and Roaches should be able to deflect this.
That's one of those situations where you're in ZvT as well, and you're like, oh, those Hellions aren't moving. Do I try and jump on them? Yeah, let's go for it. And then they move, and it's like, oh, just the same here. If you'd throw down force fields, that could have been potentially an easy cleanup there for Welmu, and a hold, losing some of those Zerglings, but it flipped entirely on its head due to Welmu just not paying attention.
Here we don't want to see Ret overbuild units, though. We go back to the same problem where force fields are going to defend any 2 base tanks. He just wants to make sure he can defend this and then tech up, probably towards a Hydralisk Den or something, knowing that this Phoenix is out.
And Forge goes down behind this as well. The 3rd base here for Welmu is going to be delayed for quite a while in comparison to the previous game.
Yeah, but this is a good start from Ret, and it all came to the grab of those units.
Yeah.
Killing off 3 sentries, 4 zealots, I think it was in total, and then a stalker or something. Fantastic. And now the Hydralisk Den is on its way. And Ret is droning up and going to start to push creep down the middle of the map to do a timing around that 3rd. Because he knows the 3rd has to be taken soon from Protoss. But Protoss is down on sentries, he's down on force fields, down on energy, down on units.
Oh, yeah. All he has really is the command of the skies, which is 6 Phoenix flying around. And yeah, they can kill off some roaches and try and push this back, so they can still continue to be cost efficient themselves. But that 3rd base, it has to get going.
Yeah, and Ret's going to be finished with droning after these next 10 are on the way, and this is where he's going to start to build his force.
Oof, almost got that probe as well. That would have been annoying. But regardless, going to try and pick up some more of these roaches. I don't think he can really pressure this 3rd base. There's enough gateway forces here to be able to shut it down. That being said, the Zerglings were already on it. The gateway force moved a little bit out of position, and he might be able to get a cancel. It's going to be very, very close. He doesn't want to cancel, but he's going to have to at the very last second. Good deny by Ret.
Yeah, and gets out with a couple of roaches.
He could have defended that a bit better, though, if he'd have actually swung the units to the left-hand side a little bit quicker. But, well, just some minor slip-ups here from Welmu.
Well, Hydralisk Den's on its way. 7 Hydras, Infestation Pit 2. Infestation Pit will allow him to go up towards the Hive and get Vipers out. Or Fungal Growth if he wants to try infest. There's a couple of ways he could go for it, but it is going to be the Hive. So Vipers can come out. Blinding Cloud, great against Blink Stalkers like this. If he goes up towards Colossus, Welmu that is, he can start to drag the Colossus out of the battle and bring them towards the Hydra, Roach, and Zergling army. But at this part of the game for Welmu, it's all about defending. Using these Phoenixes to kind of slow Ret down and, for example, find those Hydralisks.
Yep. And does not want to stick around there for long. That's too many Hydralisks in one place. If you catch them sporadically coming out in each hatchery, yes, you can start picking them up, but not when they're all clumped together like that. Might want to run away. Might run away.
Yeah. Again, Phoenix has not been able to do too much. Army started to build up for Welmu, starting to fortify this area, locking it down. It's very important for him to be able to keep this base alive while he builds up towards that +2 attack and increase the Stalker and Immortal account. But I don't think this Hive has been spotted. I don't think the Phoenix is... No, they did see the Hive.
Oh, the Hive, sorry.
Yeah, they've seen the Hive, so he knows the danger he's in when it comes to Vipers being on the way.
I mean, maybe before an engagement goes down, if the Vipers get kind of disconnected from the army, you can try and pick them off with the Phoenix if you are lucky.
Yeah.
But at the moment, this army for Ret is really gathering up. He's got plenty of economy. Here come the Vipers, here come extra Roaches, and he's just going to free up supply to max out and just go.
The Vipers are everything here. If he can get rid of them with the Phoenixes somehow, brilliant, because then Force Fields, Immortals, and Blink Stalkers will hopefully do the rest. But he's quite a while away from the Templar Archives. Maybe, actually. He might know, he probably will be able to squeeze out a couple of High Templar to help with feedbacks, just in time, by the way. This attack is coming. It's on its way. Ret will strike in moments when the Vipers are ready with the energy consumption.
And the Phoenix, they're looking for the Vipers very, very carefully, but they don't find anything. They were trying to come around back towards this base, but Vipers have long gone left.
So Ret, to be successful, he's built up this army. He now needs to spread the army out, and he needs to get the right Blinding Clouds or Abducts onto the Immortals. And then hopefully the rest of his damage output from the Hydras will be enough to break this third base. Welmu, on the other hand, must defend this.
What does he have available?
Force Fields and Storm on the way.
But not going to be done in time by the looks of things.
Very early Photon Overcharge. He must defend this area if he wants to look at a 2-0 here. But Ret is looking to tie this one up.
Oh, one of the Vipers gets blown out of the sky there by a feedback, so maybe if he can do that again, it could be good, but doesn't quite get the next one. There's a blinding cloud there, which will slow this down. Any damage coming out from this Protoss force. Good walls by the Protoss, though, to try and keep this back, but an Immortal gets abducted forwards, absolutely ripped apart there by the Hydras very, very quickly.
No more force fields left. Those on screen are the only ones remaining.
And how can he hold on against this many Hydralisks? There's still a lot, but some of the Immortals on the right-hand side aren't actually dying off. This second one somehow keeping itself alive. He lost the Nexus, though, so he's lost so much of his economy despite cleaning the majority of this up.
Yeah, fantastic attack there by Red. He brings down the most important structure there, which is the Nexus, and he slows down Welmu's economy. Plummets at this point. And there is not a lot left here as Rhett on 4 bases with a high amount of drones, 71, is looking to rebuild and strike again and tie the series up. And it all stems down from this location about 10 minutes ago where we saw those units from Welmu go to waste, which not only didn't allow him to do any damage to Rhett, it disallowed him to take this 3rd base at the right time to increase his economy, to increase his army, and now he's paying the price as Rhett is ready to go again.
Oh, this Viper needs to keep itself protected, though. These Phoenix have been looking for Vipers all game, all past couple of minutes long, and they can't find any at all. As again, here comes the fight. Storm is available, though, and he actually lands a few good ones. Hydralisks cannot sit around in Storm. That being said, doesn't really have any High Templars left. One is left, but I don't know if it really even has energy at the moment to try and deal with this. The Phoenix are going to have to be called towards the fight, into action, and even the Immortals going down at the front is going to spell a lot of doom here for Welmu, who has very few Stalkers left available to him.
40 Netherlander!
GG. Game number 2 goes to Rhett. He ties up the series. And well played by him to just capitalize, despite what actually happened at the very beginning of that game. Remember, Rhett tried to go for that proxy hatchery.
Yeah, and this is a game where if mistakes didn't happen, as you've said time after time after time, Welmu should have been looking at that saying, you made a big mistake.
Yeah.
Did you try to hatch first down there outside my base? I spotted it. I stopped it. I'm in great shape because that is an expensive structure and it is very difficult to be able to come back against a good player like Welmu when something like that happens. But again, Welmu made another mistake and that allowed Rhett to bounce back in. And here we go, tied up between Finland and the Netherlands.
Yeah, so some good stuff so far. Some good stuff. Some actions that I genuinely didn't expect Rhett to take, but...
Yeah, and this is definitely something that Welmu's got to be like, oh, cool, okay, well, if you planned that there, what else do you have planned in this series to try to topple my position?
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. So let's see what we're going to now. We have Expedition Lost for our 3rd map.
So this map is pretty good for Protoss 2 base attacks.
Yeah.
So that is going to be the underline for Rhett to prepare himself for. Is it going to be an Immortal attack? Is it going to be a Sentry that can, like a Sentry Warp Prism, where they kind of push you one way, push you the other, and then force field the ramp in between the main and natural? That's a very frustrating strategy to deal with as a Zerg player. But the underline is 2 base attack, more than likely. If it's going to be 3 bases, this is a great map for him for Rhett that is, to sneak in between the 2nd and 3rd. There's a lot of space. He can do attacks against Protoss that will have a hard time defending it. But it all depends on what part and what strategies we see played.
Yeah, I'm not expecting Welmu to let something like that slip up happen again.
Yeah.
That was quite uncharacteristic of Welmu, just in general. And, you know, as much as that is uncharacteristic of Welmu, so is him not getting into Premier if these kind of little things actually slip up again and again and again. So at the moment, Rhett is really bringing the fight here to Welmu. And Rhett is someone who is really hit and miss. Sometimes you get an amazing Rhett who just comes along and just wins game after game after game. Sometimes you get a Rhett who kind of can't be bothered. And I think it comes back to what you were saying before about the motivation thing.
And I know he's motivated for this one. The World Championship Series is such a drive for every single player in the scene, Europe, America, outside as well. In all the other regions that it has its leagues, it is such a drive for every single player. And when this day comes around, because this is a day which we've only broadcast once before here at ESL TV with us two together, but this day comes around often, 3 times a year. It's a massive day for each and every player, and that's why we're broadcasting it, because of such its importance for every single player. They're going to be motivated to do well. Bly definitely was, and he will be disappointed. He will be upset with how that series went. And Snoot is glad, he's happy, and these feelings is going to be the same that our two right now are going to be feeling as well.
Yeah, it's really kind of difficult to actually put the whole emotion into words, because once you actually are eliminated here from Challenger, that's several months window where you are not able to play in WCS.
Yeah.
Of course, if you go to external tournaments, then yeah, great, you can try and accrue some points there, but you miss out on big chunks of points, not actually qualifying here for WCS a particular season, of course.
Yeah, and because it stretches over a couple of months, back when I used to play, one thing that really frustrated me, and I'm sure will do to any current pro gamer as well, is you lose early on in the, say, Challenger stages, and then all of a sudden you start to pick up your game in the next 4 weeks, and you're beating all these players that are still in that tournament that you messed up in on Challenger. And you're beating them in other tournaments, you're beating them on the ladder, but they're playing for the big money. They're playing for all the points, and you're beating them on a regular basis. That is annoying.
Yeah.
And it's just importance like that. StarCraft Pro Gamers.
All right, well, let's get into it. It's going to be game number 3 in this best of 5, as we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner. He is our challenger. He is a Liquid Ret. And, down to the bottom left-hand corner, here is our red Protoss. He is our premier player. It is Welmu for Imaginary Gaming, who, well, he's going to give Ret a taste of his own medicine, apparently.
Yeah, and it's going to be proxy gateways.
Is it in-base as well?
In-base proxy gateways coming out from Welmu. This is something which will win against Hatch first. You're not expecting it. The second overlord here usually always goes left to cover the natural in case of the cannon rush and to start to get into a better position further along the left-hand side here. Ret, does he open up spawning pool first? And even if he does...
This overlord
is going south here, which is a little bit not normal. And he's going to spot this. And this is huge for Ret.
He shouldn't show that he's spotted it.
No, he moved back immediately. He knows exactly what he's playing against. And this is huge for Ret. This is so big because he, right now, knows what he's playing against, and you just counter it.
Yeah, straight.
You press the block button on the keyboard, and you block it.
That's a pretty sick button. I need one of those.
And the spawning pool is down. He'll build Lynx, he'll build a Spine, he'll build Queens, and I can't believe this.
No, unbelievable.
First of all, Welmu decided to go for this. Second of all, Ret had his overlord going south, which isn't that normal.
And again, he doesn't reveal to Welmu that he knows about it. So that's the brilliant part of it all. The fact that he's...
Oh, man. If Welmu knew that he'd been spotted, he'd already been just like, oh, man, cancel, go into a regular game. I built a pylon on the other side of the map. Damn. But now he's in trouble.
It's funny, actually, because I really like the building positioning of Welmu, considering he's made this little slip between the two gateways that could technically protect Zealots if they were to be fended off, but this is devastating for him. Yeah. And now he's going to send his Overlord down. It's like, well, oh no, now you see my Overlord. I've spotted you, but realistically, he's been preparing for this already.
This is so... Welmu is going to be like, I can't believe this. In his accent, I can't believe this.
Fair enough. And he sees the spine at the back as well, so he knows he was spotted way earlier on.
So you've just got to build another Queen as Ret and keep building Zerglings.
Yeah.
You got the spine and additional Queens. Zealots getting into a good position, though.
Yeah, that's the best position they could be in.
But the spine is out, and additional Queen and Lings.
And you can't fight against spines that easily with just this few Zealots that have to compete against Zerglings as well.
He can build another spine if he really wants to at this point. It's a position where it's very difficult to lose. Welmu just has to go for it. He's just got to keep building, and hopefully can overwhelm with Zerglings. He's going to send Zerglings actually to the other side of the map 5. So he is running low on his defense at the moment.
It could go for the... Well, okay, it's going to take a while to kill off this hatchery, but it might end up forcing the reaction here for these Zerglings.
The Spine Crow's just not doing anything. It should have been in the mineral line.
Yeah, it should have rooted, I guess, whilst the Zealots were being zoned
There's
down.
another Queen about to pop, and more Lings as well.
Well, the Queen's holding on strong. Two extra
and
Zealots.
5 Zerglings on the other side of the map. Welmu is running out of time because his mineral line's about to be completely ravaged.
Yeah, very, very difficult to deal with. He may end up losing... Well, no, there's no way he's going to lose that hatchery at this point. The Zergling's going to go...
This is over, man. It's been blocked. He hit the block button.
Hit that block button and then you win! And...
There's 10 additional Zerglings. Spine transfuses.
Too much.
Welmu, our Premier League player against the Challenger, is going to go behind. We saw Snoot go behind in map number 1 earlier, but not in a position like this, where Welmu is 1 game away from being eliminated. There's no way he can stop this. There's no way.
Not at all. He's got a few more Zealots on the way. He's trying to chrono boost them out, but he's lost all of his Zealots completely now. There you go. GG. Rhett takes game number 3 and is one game not only away from Premier, but eliminating Welmu, who has been on such a run in Premier so far.
Yeah, that's this is a big moment. Rhett not being in Premier League since August 2013. Last 2 seasons, Challenger. 3 seasons before that, not even qualified. Is a single game away from eliminating a player that has played 7 Premier Leagues back to back 7 times and has always been minimum top 16.
Yeah.
Every round of 32 studio we have in 2013, 2014, he's always on the phone and he's always given us his rizz.
All the rizz.
And he comes to the studio. We've had we nicknamed him the Bumblebee Toss that one season.
Oh yeah.
He came this year, this season 1 in 2015 in his grandma sweater. You know, there's been many fond memories of Welmu over the years, but right now he could be eliminated in Challenger if he doesn't win the next 2 games in a row.
Yeah, he's got to really book up his ideas now. Unfortunately for him, he's got to win these next 2 maps. It's going to be Echo as our next map. And there's a very real possibility he is eliminated here. Very, very real. This is scary for Welmu.
Yeah, this is a big moment. It's also, I got reminded on Twitter, Rotterdam also mentioned this to me a little bit, it's King's Day in the Netherlands right now, which is the national celebration day within the Netherlands, a massive day there. So Rhett, with a victory on King's Day, makes perfect sense, being the king of drones himself. But it's not over yet. Welmu's experienced, he's been in these positions before, but on the other side of the coin is he just suffered a big loss in France in Season 1. And it was a painful one because he played in the round of 16, he made his way to France, but he matched up against Bunny, which was a close series, and it could have gone either way, but he lost 2-1, and then he played his next match against Haz, our villain within the WCS, and was eliminated from the tournament in last place in his group, which he did not expect.
No, I don't think a lot of people expected that at all, to be honest with you. Welmu, even in PvP, is someone who is considered extremely, extremely powerful. Haas, though, he's Haas. That's all I have to say, really, on that subject. So it looks like our players are good to go into game number 4 at the moment. Rhett, 1 game away from Premier. That will be such a big thing for him. Such a big thing.
Yeah, that's going to, keep his momentum going and really drive his motivation.
Yeah.
And hopefully he can continue to improve and improve and improve. Like I said, he'd already won that Netherlands tournament, the Invitational, where he got back on top in very close series against Thermal and Harston. And this is the next step. It's always about conquering your own nation, moving to another level, which is right now Challenger within the StarCraft 2 scene. And if he's able to beat Welmu here, a massive, massive contender, always in each and every season within the World Championship Series, could eliminate him here in Challenger.
All right, let's get into things then, as we have our map number 4. Echo will be that map. And we do have Rhett 2 games up to Welmu's 1. And spawning up to the top left-hand corner, it is our blue Zerg. It is Liquid Rhett. Down to the bottom right-hand corner, it's our red Protoss. On the ropes now here, it is Welmu.
And as Welmu, you just have to be sticking to what you usually do. You're a great player. Like I mentioned before, you're fantastic at showing one thing but doing the other. He's great at hiding away from the typical Zerg scout. This is how Welmu likes to play. Very gateway-oriented, very in-your-face. Never Forge Expand, never Nexus first, always active with units, always on the other side of the map doing damage while macroing up back at home, always planning a strike when he knows you're at your weakest. That is Welmu, and that is what he has to do here against Red.
But can he do it? Because at the moment, Rhett is playing well. I mean, even despite going down in that second game, we're still able to, pull it back with strong moves, opportunistic moves, and being able to jump straight on top of Welmu. But at the same time now, how is Welmu going to play this? I mean, Echo is an interesting map for in itself. Third base, when you try and take this over here. Obviously, we've seen Welmu try and do that and then even go for the gateway pushes again, like we've been saying before. But he will try and go for those poke counts with small gateway forces. And then from there on out, how are you going to be able to deal with it?
Yeah. So it's going to be Nexus Gateway opening from Welmu. So this is a very powerful variation of gateway-oriented play. So with the Nexus coming out first, the Gateway should follow, then it's the Assimilator, and so on. So he's going to be still relatively active, just not as active in the beginning. But this really powers up the mid game for him. The extra kind of boost, the earlier pro production. There is the Nexus into 3 base, 7 Gate Blink Stalker, a very, very powerful strategy that we could see out from him. But luckily for Rhett here, 3 hatch first. So he's going to have a good production set up himself.
And Welmu pokes around and sees the timing of that spawning pool. Has got to be like, no, damn. Because that is irritating to deal with. Not much that he can do in terms of pressure. Maybe get a Zealot Chrono Boosted out, but even that is going to get over there and not do a huge amount, really.
Usually when you go 3 hatch, you don't really get the ease of option to go to the lair very early, because Protoss, with the Cybernetics core already 15 seconds in, usually plans some type of attack. So you usually rely on creep spread, Zerglings, and Roaches to defend the majority of attacks that could come your way. The most important part now for Rhett, he's already got the production set up which will go uncontested. He just needs to make sure what the follow-up is. Stargate Oracle, get Spore Crawlers. Twilight Council for early DTs, get Detection. Twilight Council for Blink really on, get a lot of Lings, get a lot of Roaches. Gateway attack, simply a lot of units. You just got to know which type of pathway and tech choice Welmu will choose.
Yeah, and for that to happen, you got to have a good scouting yourself. Keeping these Overlords alive can sometimes be tricky.
Yeah, I think he's going to lose one inside the main base, actually.
Yeah.
A double Chrono Boost into that Stalker.
Very eager to kill that off.
He should lose this.
And as we said before, you know, Welmu is that tricky guy. He always wants to really try and keep things as hidden as possible. This is the first step to that.
Yeah, and as soon as this Overlord goes down, there's a pylon right there, which will never, ever, ever have an Overlord close to it anymore. That he throws down a tech choice or gateways or something he wants to play around with Red, who is already throwing down double gases. But what does Welmu do? He could just go take a 3rd base for all we know.
Yeah, he could. He could. Rhett now, what is he up to at the back of all of this? It's just drones for him.
It's drones and continuing to try to scout. Zergling on the 3rd, Zergling out in the middle to see if any units go through that ramp. And then Overlords towards the back, checking the gases of Welmu's base. As he wants to know, are gases taken? Because if they're not, he's got a lot of minerals, which means a lot of Zealots and gateways.
Oh. Yeah, and the thing is that you kind of have to anticipate this being noticed as soon as it goes down. So
he just pulled off a great scout on the natural.
Yeah.
Sees the double gateways and then the double gases, so he knows exactly his opponent's build. Nexus to 3 gates, then to gases for attack after.
Stalker sneaked out, actually, and he's going for some aggression here with the Mothership Core. Also, the Stalker was very wisely working on the Queen to start this off.
And he's going to get a Queen snipe.
Yeah, which is very nice.
Great harass from almost no units. The Stalker and Mothership Core alone.
Queen's going to have to run away into the no man's land and unfortunately die off. The second Queen is on the way to reinforce, and hopefully we will push away that Mothership Core for now. But Probe is already moving out for the 3rd base with that Zergling that did actually move away. If he could get that with the Stalker, but doesn't look like he's noticed it.
Yeah, there's quite a few Zerglings. They may, I don't know actually, 5 sentries almost. That's not enough Zerglings. But 5 Roaches, 6 Roaches. Red stopped drone counts really early on.
Is he going?
He doesn't know about the Forge, but he's looking at an attack that he's expecting a 3rd to be there, and he's gotten that good of a guess. Because right now it is a 3rd base.
Yeah.
Unless he's planning to stop an attack that isn't coming, either way, he stops an attack, or he goes ahead and very easily denies his 3rd.
Oh, the timing of it all. Rhett walks straight up towards the 3rd as it's taken.
And the thing is Welmu is going to cancel and then rebuild, and all the sentries are there. And if Rhett gets a wraparound on these units...
Yeah.
Force, he has to recall out. And then there's no Photon Overcharge to defend the Nexus the next time this comes around. And then he's going to be put back to 2 bases. It's going to be very difficult to break Welmu on 2, but he can certainly break him on 3.
Yeah, this is really, really difficult to deal with.
He's waiting for the units to come out. Look, he's baiting him out.
And he's going to actually walk on forward here with the Roaches and try and kill off as many sentries as possible. The Guardian Shield is soaking up some of this damage, but the Lynx are going to try and go for the wraparound. They don't get past the force field wall. Will be able to divide and conquer, but he can't keep his 3rd base. He had to cancel, and now has to try and deal with that again.
Wasn't the most successful attack there from Rhett. I think if he waited more with the Roaches to allow the sentries to go further out in the open, then get a wraparound with the Lynx and Roaches, much better. But he only picked off 1 sentry, and behind this one was like, okay, you build a lot of units. I guess I can't take my 3rd. I'll keep all those units I have, get my Twilight Council, get my Robo, get extra gateways, and that's not a terrible situation from Welmu.
No.
This could have worked out much better for Rhett if he was able to get all those units.
Definitely. I mean, we've seen Welmu playing on 2 bases for a long time in matchups and really being able to deal with it very easily. Tries to go for the wraparound on force fields, though, making sure that those Lings can't really do anything to him, and he did very successfully there.
Natural, though.
Uh-oh. Actually sneaks all the way in.
He'd have to recall back to defend it, I would imagine.
Yeah,
He's really slow getting back.
It's not that many Lings left in the main base, and the Roaches can't really push on forwards more because of the sentry actually holding that back. But actually, you got another free sentry there, though, for those Lings.
Yeah, doing a little bit of damage still, just still continuing that harassment. He's gone up to 70 drones now, so that little attack was definitely what Rhett needed to salvage the situation a little bit, but no creep spread because he's only been on these 3 queens and he focused on that attack early rather than really thinking about the long-term plan. So he's got no creep spread, which makes this Roach Hydra push a little bit weaker. Evolution Chain was a little bit late as well, so the attack's a little bit behind. Layer's a little bit late, so Roach Speed's a little bit behind. So all these things are allowing Welmu to set up and just kind of put him in a position where he should be able to defend the majority of attacks. But Rhett is going to attack again. Don't count that out. He will attack. It's +2 is going to be close to finishing. Blink will probably finish.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Stalkers and units now.
4th base is going to be on the way here for Rhett pretty soon to keep his economy in check and going. And Welmu's army, well, let's see what we're doing in terms of that. It's looking all right. It's not exactly the most amazing of armies just yet, but it doesn't have to rival a whole lot. It's when these Hydralisk numbers really gang up and get going. But still, force fields, you know, you can work wonders with force fields against this kind of composition.
My crystal ball shows me that Rhett will probably attack soon, not do that much damage, and is going to be in a lot of trouble to a counterattack while he tries to get to Hive. That's what my crystal ball says.
I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest, because this army, at the moment, it looks as if he's actually just going to try and poke towards that 3rd base. But
very difficult to attack up there. It's a ramp, force field, photon overcharge on the high ground. Hard to work.
Well, Phoenix gets in here and sees pretty much all the infrastructure, sees the Hive. Looks like Rhett is actually going to wait for the Hive to finish up, but that's a
long time.
I think he cancelled.
And +2 attack will finish.
He cancelled, so he's just going to go for it by looks things.
So when you cancel that, you're expecting the Protoss to move out soon to do damage, usually before the Hive. But Red is not doing that. He's not going for up. He's expecting the Twilight Council to come in, High Templar. No. He's waiting and setting a trap. He's got a single Zergling that is going to see the units go through the middle. He's got Ling and Roaches for either a counterattack or to come from behind on the right-hand side. Then Ling and Hydra for this side.
I don't think this is going to come in at the right time here, though. The blink back, he has force fields that he can cut this up with. All he has to do is step back, and then he's negating a lot of the damage here from the north. Yeah,
it's about 50% of that army not even doing anything for Red.
Yeah, catches a few more of these units again as well, and he's got a lot of Stalkers available to him. It's Spire's on the way behind this for Red, but I don't think this is going to work out too well.
No, the Spire's not going to be useful at all.
He loses a few more units as well.
Man, these force fields are great, by the way.
Yeah.
Great fight from Welmu.
Resources lost plummet here, and very much so in favor of Welmu now.
Yeah, and now the Hive starts back up again.
All right.
So just not the best situation here from Rhett. And Welmu's handling this very well. He's got a great and very powerful army.
Yeah. Blinks on forwards, gets himself a few free kills as well. And this army is just in no man's land. It really can't do anything.
Yeah, and he needs additional support via Vipers, and that's quite a bit away. And this is the crystal ball moment. Didn't quite happen as I thought it would, but very similar to where Rhett attacks, doesn't do much, and then we got this brilliant counter-attack in. And the reason why it didn't do much is because the attack he tried earlier on didn't really slow Welmu down that much, because Rhett slowed himself down to do that attack.
Yeah, he really needed to do a bit more damage to the army and then maybe try and push on further. But now there's plenty of Immortals with this. Force fields just land across the entire army with Time Warp as well. And Welmu is actually going to rip this entire force apart.
Yeah, this is not pretty. Zerg players, close your eyes as every single unit is about to be destroyed here. And this is the counter-attack where Welmu, in between tech choices, the Hive is almost complete, is going to be able to kill off Rhett. And we are going to go to Game 5 unless Rhett somehow pulls a rabbit out of the hat.
There's even +3 weapons on the way for Welmu, so he has plenty more up his sleeves as these Roaches trying to do something from the side, but it's not going to work out. GG! Welmu will tie up the series 2-2. and make a bit more of a fight out of this, saying, I am not going to get knocked out of Premier just yet.
No. We're going to game number 5, which is going to be on Iron Fortress of all maps here. So that's going to be a very cool and interesting map. But again, I think if we were able to replay that very certain moment early on when Rhett had all these Zerglings and Roaches, and maybe just because there were only 10 Zerglings ever shown.
Yeah.
And those could have been from the Stalker earlier on. And Welmu will go to destroy them with the sentries. And then if you can come in with Ling and Roach and destroy that off, then you find yourself in the position where he found himself on Vanny Research Station, where you just killed off all those units. You can no longer be attacked, and Welmu can no longer expand. And that is a brilliant position. And you always, if you could have a wish in this matchup, is what you would want to achieve every single map.
Yeah, I completely see where you're coming from in regards to that engagement. That could have gone a little bit better for Red, definitely. But, well, regardless, that's how it played out. And Welmu ties up the series with... It looks very strong, the composition he's crafting as well. He doesn't even care a huge amount about the splash damage at the moment. He's just going for the Stalkers, Sentries for the space control, and the Immortals behind that really are the big brunt of the damage.
Yeah.
If anything kind of closes with them. It's difficult to deal with, especially when you transition into Templars later on, if he needs it against Viper stuff.
There's a couple of things that Zerg does to kind of offset that balance. Depends on when the third gets taken. If it gets taken really early and you don't do anything about it, you're in trouble. So you can hopefully try to slow the third from being taken down to prevent that rush of army happening from Protoss, but that's very difficult to do. You can play very greedy and plan for a very powerful Zergling Hydra attack in between bases. That's another successful way. You could play... a Ling Roach attack into third, and then a Mulus switch, which catches that build off guard as well if you can do damage. But usually it's some form of attack into the Protoss in between the second and third, almost every single game you watch. Because if that Protoss base goes untouched, that third, it's game over.
Yeah.
It's that simple. You cannot allow Protoss to take that third without sacrificing units to do so.
Yeah, very, very strong setup there by Welmu, who obviously gets that up and running very, very quickly. So we're just waiting now for Iron Fortress to get set up. And again, the interesting... obviously, we had this in our Zerg versus Zerg, and it's not quite the dynamic it once was. Obviously, you know, negating that with Creep to deal with any kind of Munilist play. But in this matchup, it can be a big deal. That third is very, very far away from a Protoss. So Welmu could go back to his old feisty self here. Yeah,
it's very difficult to take a third base as Protoss, but it also is difficult to take it as a Zerg because you can't really defend it very easily because there's no Creep there, and it's difficult to look at. Defending with Queens and slow Roaches, for example. So it's important for Rhett here to focus creep spread towards that third base as well. But Iron Fortress is a big map. I think we'll see a very similar style coming out from Welmu here in hopes to complete the 2-0 when it comes to Premier League players from Season 1 versus challengers that are newly qualified players into the World Championship Series here for Season 2.
That's true. Don't forget, guys, to send us your predictions. Give us any insight that you think is necessary as well on all our social media networks. Make sure to hashtag WCS on Twitter as well. All important so that we know you're talking about it. That's always good.
Yep.
And now... who do you think takes this?
It's hard to say. I definitely have to favor Welmu. And if Rhett wins, it's an upset no matter what here between these two. But hopefully that upset can start to change with Rhett increasing his performance results over the next couple of months. But right now, Welmu is the more established player, is the WCS veteran, and Rhett, underlined, is the challenger.
Yeah, and this is, if Rhett is able to make the upset, then that gives us this fantastic start already to the Challenger Series as we keep going through this, obviously, the 3 days that we have, as anything can happen here in these series. Anything can happen. So let's get into it as we have our two players spawning in here on Iron Fortress. Up to the top left-hand corner, it is our red Protoss. It is Welmu for Imaginary Gaming. And up to the top right-hand corner, it's our blue Zerg. It is Liquid Ret.
And next up, after this series is completed, will be our third Team Liquid Player of the Day, as Tilo takes the stage against Nurtio. And I'm very excited for that series, and we'll talk about that later on, because that will be a cool one. Even though we've got two Zerg versus Zergs today, it doesn't matter, because the matchups of who is actually playing in these are fantastic. As we saw Snoot just earlier on, if you're just joining us, beat Bly 3-1 after losing the first map. And here we are in our second series of the day, all best of fives, and we have 3 days of Challenger. Awesome stuff coming. Not tomorrow, though. Next day.
Not tomorrow.
No, the day after.
I'm a busy bee this week, but not tomorrow, that's for sure. No StarCraft tomorrow. So Let's see now how Rhett is going to be able to fare. If he can topple Welmu, that would be amazing here in this second series.
In these positions already, you have the dynamic of the fourth base if the game gets that long. Because you have to expand away. Rhett needs to expand south, which is a more difficult base to defend. You need spines and stuff. There's lots of pathways for Protoss to get to you down there. You need great creep spread. Likewise, Welmu's going to be facing the same problem depending on how aggressive he plays. Does he expand south or does he try to expand towards the Zergon creep, where creep will be almost touching that ramp?
Yeah, pretty difficult to deal with, that is for sure. But let's see how Welmu's going to fare. I mean, again, you know, there's many a two-base trickery that Welmu can do, which could come into play on a map like this.
Yeah, and he's already changed his build-up, and he hasn't done this at all so far this series. Gateway expansion, but with a really fast cybernetics core, which opens up multiple options very early on because of the speed of the cybernetics core. Whether it's a simple gateway attack after expanding, whether it's a very fast tech choice as well, once that cyber core completes. But he's going to scout in last position here, unfortunately, for Welmu. Kind of a sucky thing when it's on a 4-player map that you scout in last position.
A little bit of a shame. He'll poke up here, see that Overlord, and be like, darn.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is a bit annoying. He knows where his opponent is now, so he'll end up going over there. But by the time he gets over there, will there be Zerglings out to deny? It's going to be kind of close, actually. He might be able to get a bit of a scout off.
Yeah, he should be able to here, I think. We do have Hatch Gas spawning pool from Rhett, which means he sacrifices a little bit of his mineral income because that is 3 drones not working on minerals for quite a while, and then also 100 minerals that he has to use with the 100 gas to get the Zergling speed. So not the best mineral opening Rhett could go for, but really fast Zergling speed, which at the look of it,
might not be scouted.
Well, it depends on those 2 lings on the high ground. He doesn't even bother going in, so it's not scouted here. And the way that it can be scouted is that the probe goes around and looks for the 3rd base, which should be coming in very soon, if it was a no-gas opener.
Yeah.
But Rhett's going to lose an Overlord.
Oh, that is annoying.
Well, is he?
The vision's trying to be kept here by the probe. It's going to be very close.
I think this Stalker can run to the high ground, just slightly right.
But it depends which ways he goes, because if he...
yeah. Rhett's going to keep it alive just.
Yeah. So, tricky stuff. And if he walked out towards the Zerglings, it would have been difficult to try and deal with. So, anyway, regardless, Mothership Core was there, trying to deny a little bit at the front. Probe moves out after throwing down the extra 2 gateways and pylon.
Yeah.
Trailing those Zerglings.
Yeah, and there's 4 more just been made too, and another 2 on the way. And Rhett sees a Probe Stalker Mothership Core pushing over. He builds 9 more drones. He's got to be very careful. The art of drones versus units now must be displayed by Rhett, as he mustn't over-drone and he mustn't over-unit.
Yeah, always got to be careful of that. The Zergling speed's about to finish, but if he kills off the Zerglings before they can even use it, that is annoying. How many does he have?
He's got to protect these Overlords for sure. That's one thing he has to do.
Yeah, these 6 extra Zerglings are very important. They're about to pop out. Pylon on the high ground. That has been spotted here, so also pushing the Stalkers up against the wall and decides to just recall on out.
Yeah, 14 additional Zerglings that didn't need to be built, by the way. And he cancelled them!
Wow.
He cancelled them!
Wow, wow, wow.
I didn't expect he'd cancel them.
No.
Whoa! I thought he was going to let them live.
That's interesting.
Whoa, okay.
It's a really interesting decision because you got to think about how much lava commitment that was, etc.
He just burned all the lava there. Gets a bit of them, well, all the money back, but burnt the lava there. That was nasty.
Yeah. Oh well.
Well, he puts down the layer immediately. Roach Warren coming in. 3rd base has been taken, but he didn't want those lings out on the map. That was there's a lot of money gone down the drain if he does that.
Yeah. Straight back to drones. Drones. 37 against 36 right now. Not exactly the lead that he really wants, but with an extra 11 drones in production, he'll be able to fuel that 3rd base pretty well.
Well, Welmu's decided Forge to get an attack upgrade, and then the robotics facility coming in. So if it is an immortal attack, it's kind of slow, because the robotics facility is kind of late. But it's more than likely going to be a warp prism, I would say. I don't think he'll go all the way up to robotics bay. I think that's a bit crazy.
And if he gets a warp prism in somehow and sneaks in and is able to kind of wall off even just this ramp alone, that's a big deal. Hydralisk Den's on the way, though. Was he playing Link? Oh, no. He did get the Roach Warren.
Yeah, the Roach Warren's down, just not used yet.
Yeah. Well, might see this Oracle. Will he react to it? As Wow, it's heading over towards third base. If it was a real Oracle, it'd have probably gone straight to the natural to try and do some damage, so
yeah,
probably no reaction.
Welmu needs to know what the hell is going on in this game. He sees a third, he's like, okay, not too many drones there yet.
Ooh.
And Overseer doesn't see that much either, just kind of sees attack upgrade coming, but doesn't know what tech, what units, what gateway count. Oracle sees the Hydralisk Den now. And Hydralisks are the answer to what Welmu has. Immortals and a few units.
Is he really just going to go with an Immortal push?
Well, right now he's he can't really push because he doesn't have much, but
he has to expand.
He's going up towards Blink soon. Yeah, I think he's going to expand soon.
Yeah.
But he's going up towards Blink. Whereas on the other side of things, Rhett's economy is pretty good. After he cancelled all those lings, he got that third down, he's got his production rolling, he's got a lot of drones, 64, he's got a lot of Hydras on the way, which is very important. No evolution chamber, no roach speed, no extra gas that wasn't Zergling speed has been put anywhere else apart from Hydralisk. His overall production, by the way, has been very good. He hasn't been supply box, so he's built a lot of these units early.
It's a really good point that you make, though. I mean, with no evolution chamber and things like that, where is the long-term plan here?
Well, it's just a Ling Hydra bust, and if it doesn't work, you pray to God that you throw down a Spire and maybe you can catch him with a tech switch, because you got +1 attack done, you're going to have +2 attack starting. Welmu knows this. This is a very large and wide open map, Iron Fortress, which is hard to defend if the Zerg strikes in between the bases.
And he spots the third base down towards his left-hand side as well. So these Hydralisks moving across. Force Heals can still cut these up pretty well. And you'd be
he's
surprised.
got to wait for Lings. He has to wait for Lings. If Hydralisks attack by themselves, he'll cut them up, as you said, and he'll lose half before the fight even begins.
And you'd be surprised at how well Immortals can fare against Hydras when they are cut up. They can do quite a bit of damage to them. So
Welmu knows his attack is coming. He stopped droning for a while, probing, and is building up a lot of units.
And these Hydralisks are still slow, so he will lose a few of them at the front here. The Immortals are going to be kept alive, slowing down the big portion of those Hydralisks towards the top. But can he continue on with this? He's lost a lot of the Hydras. The Lings
force fields
are
down. This is the most important part here when the wave goes down.
Well, now they're moving on forwards, and he has nothing left to actually hold off against this. If he focuses down those Immortals and brings the rest of this all down with the extra
losing his entire army.
I can't believe it. He's actually going to lose everything. And he's losing probes behind all of this. He can go to the... he can do whatever he wants.
It's over. This is over.
Oh my gosh.
Red has broken him. GG. Red finds himself back in Premier League for the first time since August 2013. A massive victory for the Dutchman. I was a bit back in my seat there watching that start to come forward. He finds himself back in Premier League.
Unbelievable. And now Welmu is out. An unbelievable result here, considering that he has been the most staple, most consistent non-Korean in WCS.
Yeah.
And now he has no chance at all here in Season 2. A huge, huge pickup for Red.
The last time Welmu didn't get a Premier League was Season 1 in 2013, when he was playing in Challenger because he couldn't qualify for Premier League. Since then, round of 16, at least, every single season. But the challenge has been set. Red has overcome it. And we have a 1-1 when it comes to Premier League versus Challenger. I didn't think that would happen, but
no.
Red makes it to Premier League. A huge, huge win. That's 2 Team Liquid players in a row going through, and Team Liquid continue their good results. But a massive moment here from Red. As mentioned before, two challenges before this season, and then 3 not even qualified to find himself back for the first time in a long time in Premier League.
Yeah, it might not just be King's Day, it might be Team Liquid Day if this continues the trend. Very well done there by Rhett, able to win that best of 5. A long, grueling best of 5 there between the two. Really back and forth as Welmu tried to vie for victory, but sadly for Welmu, he is not going to be in Season 2 Premier.
Yeah, that's disappointing because Season 1, we talked about his round of 16 loss there with his close series against Bunny, who we saw go so far in the tournament, and Welmu could have done the same, but then he got sniped out by Haz and got eliminated in the round of 16 to enter Season 2 Challenger to then get eliminated by Red. A very difficult start to the year for Welmu, and if you think about the long-term plan of global finals, this is painful for Welmu.
Yeah, very much so. All right, so that does it for our second series here of Day 1 Challenger. Join us after the break when we're going to have Team Liquid member number 3 going up against Acer member number 2. It's going to be TLO going up against Nurtio.